All right, everybody, let's get it going. It's Game Day Winnipeg here on Bonfire Sports. Chris Walby in the house. Chris, what's going on? Is your internet okay today?
Is that, yeah, you know what? They just were very lucky because can you hear me at all?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, they told me there's an outage in the area. So I phoned and they finally figured something out, but it might be intermittent, might kick out. So get a good look at me now because I might be gone. You never know, man.
Well, do us a favor, get into the options there and pick your right mic because everybody wants to hear from the legend.
Well, let's
Chris
see what
Walby.
one we got here. Let's see what kind of mic we got. Hang on.
You do it. You do your thing. And, we'll keep it going. Hey, thanks to everybody who stuck around. Appreciate that. Technical issues do happen. So Chris Walby's got his Commodore 64 rebooted. Floppy disk is in the drive. It's ready to go. Chris, I got a gift for you today.
Oh, come on, man. Don't do that to me. Don't tease me. I've had one of them days, man. It's been a crazy day.
I got a gift for you. You know what? I will show it to you later. You keep working on your microphone. How about right now we hear from Dietrich Nichols? I did a one-on-one interview with, for my money, the best defensive back the Blue Bombers have. Could be the best defensive back in the CFL today. He talks about facing Geno Lewis, the challenge of Winnipeg playing Montreal 2 weeks in a row, putting that 9-0 record on the line on Thursday, and more. So here is Blue Bombers second-year DB, Deatrick Nichols. Dietrich, half the regular season schedule is now in the books. Tell me about where this defense is and where you guys want to go in the second half of the regular season.
We doing pretty good. You know, it's always that we could learn more, get better at certain things, situation, down the distance of the ball and everything like that. So we're just trying to get more mentally smarter and pick up on plays before they happen.
Montreal Alouettes have a lot of talent in their receiving core, probably led by Geno Lewis. Tell me about the type of receiver he is and the challenges he brings to you guys.
Of course, he's a great receiver. He's been here for 5 years, been doing a great job. You know, I feel like he tracked the ball very well. You know, like he make the tough catches, he make the big boy catches, and you just got to keep continuing to pounding.
You and I talked at the Grey Cup last year, and I got the impression from you that you're somebody that studies all the individuals in the league and what they do well, and probably how you can take advantage of them. Tell me about that process you go through, and not just watching your own games and your own film, but watching the other games as well.
Yeah, like you said, watching the game, see how they see what's. You can tell sometimes. You can tell what's a receiver favorite route and what they like personally and everything like that, and what the coaches and how it fit in the scheme wise on their side of the ball. So I pick up on little things like that, and just believe in what I see. Honestly, that's all it is.
How much does it help knowing tendencies and those sorts of things?
It help you out 100%. You know, the game, it's a physical game, but I still feel like it's majority mental.
How is the mental strength of the team right now with pretty tough schedule, 3 road games in a row? You guys haven't had a bye week yet. You include the preseason. I know you had 10 days between preseason and week 1, but you guys have been going pretty hard here.
Nobody cares, you know, like it's a part of the game. Everything's not going to be pretty and tied with a bow. You know, you get play the cards that's dealt, and we've been doing a pretty good job at doing that.
That's a pretty impressive thing. Have you been on teams like that before?
What type of teams?
Well, teams that don't really worry about the circumstances.
Yeah, all the time. That's big. It's a thing that every team say, but it take the guys, the captains, to really believe in it and push it on the young guys and also themselves. So everybody do a great job at just playing football, doing what we love, and not complaining. You know, like everything's not going to be how you want it. You know, just stick with it and play the cards that's dealt. Honestly,
I'm sure that's the same issue with the next man up mentality. You guys go down, a player gets hurt, or even your second stringer gets hurt. It doesn't matter who you guys have in there. You're still playing pretty tight ball.
Yeah, everybody. Like they want everybody prepared, like you about to play, and you never know. You know, you might have the Cinderella story. So that's why you want to be prepared and go out there and shine and play for your brothers.
Tell me about the challenge this week in facing Montreal again. Of course, it's on your turf this time, but facing that same team 2 weeks in a row.
It's always tough. It's always tough playing somebody again. Back to back. You know, they just played us. They got the feeling of us and everything like that. So we got to just be prepared for new things and stuff like that, and just stick with the basics and still play football.
I've always seen you have a lot of energy on the field at practice and in games. But this is year 2 for you. I imagine you're a little bit more comfortable. How much fun are you having?
I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm thankful that I'm here and everything like that. Don't take nothing for granted. And I love it here, and I hope I continue to play here.
Thanks, Dietrich.
All right, no problem.
Dietrich Nichols, Chris Walby, is an absolute baller. I am a huge fan of this guy as a player. I don't care what team he's on, what league he's in. He is a lockdown human tarpaulin, I like to refer to him as. Has the right mentality, seems to has improved in year 2 here in the Canadian Football League. And he touched on some of those things that are oh so important. Whatever cards you're dealt, don't complain, go after it. And also interesting, he said that, you know, there might be a Cinderella story. So you got to go out there and play hard every night, no matter what. The Blue Bombers, everybody's gunning for them right now at 9-0, Chris. Have you ever had your target on your back like that and some of the better teams you played on here in Winnipeg?
You know, listen, for sure. I mean, we've been in playoff games where we thought we were going to walk away with it. You know, we had, I think, 97, and we had a great team. We had hosted Toronto here, and we end up losing. You know, it's any given, you know, day that you can beat somebody. Listen, one thing I like about what that Dietrich said there, he loves the culture, loves coming back. He says, I just hope I can keep playing here. That's the thing they've created again. It's another one that just resonates among all the guys that play in Winnipeg. You know, I met today, I had to go down to get my ankle checked at the orthopedic place out in Oak Bluff. And Jamie Longstaff is now the trainer with the Bombers. And so he's also looking at me. And his dad had done a number of surgeries on me as well, Bert. So it was great to see him. And he showed up today in his meeting, bomber hat, you know, with the surgical hat, bomber mask.
Oh, really?
Bomber jacket. Like, I mean, I was like, and he said to me, you made my day, Mr. Walby. I go, are you kidding me? You're my surgeon, brother. You know what? Do I need any help? He goes, nah, we'll figure you out. We'll get you fixed up. But yeah, you know what? He even talks about it. He says just being part of it from a doctor's perspective and watching what they have created in that locker room. It's pretty remarkable. And listen, Dietrich, God bless you, man. The kid's a great player. I want to answer one question. I saw one person here saying, did they only get paid at home games? You know, the players. No, the players get paid after every game. That's the stipulation of the contract. The nice thing about a short week, and I didn't even say this last week, but you get 2 paychecks in a relatively quick time, which is nice. So if you're like Zach Collaros, you're basically backing up the brink truck twice and taking all that cash, man. You know what I mean? You're O-lineman like us. You know, we just still bring our lunch bag to work.
Yeah. Well, and it's important, I think, too, you know, when you got the target on your back, everybody's gunning for you. Like, think of how a team like Montreal that's been meddling this year.
Yeah.
If you can go into Winnipeg and smack them in the mouth and maybe come away with a victory, like, it's not like Winnipeg's been blowing everybody out every week.
No.
If you can get a win in Winnipeg, it might change the mentality of your team. It might turn your season around. And for Montreal in an East Division that's wide open, I expect them to come out really gunning on Thursday night. Winnipeg better be prepared. They can't take a week off. They have a bye next week. Zach Collaros was asked about this at practice this week, Chris. Like, is it about getting through this game and getting to the bye week? It's not about getting through anything. It's about playing every single. It's that 1-0 mentality, right? It's worked up until this point. They're going to keep it rolling.
But you know what I like about this whole thing about the game and coming in and if you look at what Montreal did, they were 14-14 with 9 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter. They had played well. They had 4 turnovers, but again, the Bomber defense, we only gave up 3 points off 4 turnovers. That's crazy. I mean, that just shows you how well the defense is playing to prevent other teams from taking advantage. That wasn't one of Zach's sharpest games. 3 interceptions. He fumbled the ball once. I think it could have went the other way really fast. I was still blown away when Montreal decided instead of kicking a field goal, they tried to go 3rd down and 2 and throw a ball out of bounds trying to hit Eugene Lewis, which is another story, is they're so focused on Eugene Lewis now that you don't even hear anybody about the other guys. Jake Wenicky, I read an article on him today. Like, you know what? He had 9 touchdowns last year. He got zippity-doo this year. So, I mean, can Montreal beat him? Yeah, absolutely. Any team can beat somebody, but they got to get their game right. They've got to really, hey, listen, I'm going to echo this, but they fired Kahari Jones saying he had discipline problems on that team. We talked about this last week. Since the coach was taken over, they're worse in penalties, and they killed themselves again last week with penalties. And then I read somebody, I think it was Naylor, wrote an article. One of the guys, CFL writer, said that players do not respect Danny Machocho. And you start seeing that, my God. And so somebody leaked that out. Somebody in the player, like, if you know, as a media guy, you're a media guy. You're never going to print something that's unsubstantiated where you might get in trouble for feedback, right? Yep. Obviously, for him to put that in there, somebody fed some information to him saying, the locker room's divided. It's not a great locker room. They love Kahari. So this is a make or break for me from Montreal, for Danny Machocho, because I think they thought that he was going to come in and, he had success at University of Montreal, the Caribbeans, but he needs to turn this game around. He needs to win one badly, not just for the record, but for security in Montreal, because you can't have Montreal starting to lose fans. The owner, David Stern, is doing everything positive, propaganda kind of thing, but you got to have something to, back it with. Look at Toronto. What they have in Toronto? Somebody said like 9,000 fans. That's embarrassing, man. Come on,
I think they had 12,000 this past week.
Okay, let me. Well, they put.
Hey, that's a 25% boost.
They probably put 3,000 people twice through the gate. That's what they did. I know how they work, man.
I don't know about that. But, well, here's the thing with the Montreal Alouettes, Chris. Everything has gone bad for them this season. Week 1, quarter number 1. Yeah. The East Division Most Outstanding Player nominee from last season, tailback William Stanback, goes down to injury and is out for the season. Then Vernon Adams Jr., they start kind of, weaving in and out of having him at quarterback, having Trevor Harris at quarterback, Dom Davis getting in, and he leads the league in short yardage and rushing touchdowns this season. Now, Vernon Adams Jr. is on the 6-game injured list. It's not even an option anymore. They decide to fire a player-friendly coach. Yes. As you just stated, like Dave Naylor is an outstanding reporter. You're right. He wouldn't report anything unless he knew it to be true.
Absolutely.
And they move on from Kahari Jones. They move on from defensive coordinator Baron Miles. They bring in a very old school D coordinator in Noel Thorpe. I'm sure he can run a good defense, but I don't know how the players feel about having the system changed mid-season. You move on from Kahari, you bring in the general manager, who, generally speaking, Chris, GMs, like, not everything was like Cal Murphy, right? Yep. GMs today, they keep their distance from the players, right? They have to make hard decisions on these guys. Now you move from the front office to the bench. It's going to be a challenge in that. And now Trevor Harris has been limited or not practicing for the last number of weeks. It's a back injury that is nagging him. He will start Thursday night here in Winnipeg, but it is an uphill climb for this Montreal Alouettes team. That's why I say, if they're able to put together a good effort, and like some people were saying in the live chat, like, for every team in the middle or the bottom part of the league, it's their Grey Cup playing against this undefeated Winnipeg Blue Bombers team. You better strap in and be sure you're, you got everything ready to go and all your X's and O's in a line when you're playing a team with nothing to lose.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, DB. The other thing I would say this is Noel Thorpe's defense didn't play bad. I don't think they played bad last week. I mean, anytime you can create 4 turnovers, you're doing something good there. I mean, when you're still tied 14-14 with 9 minutes plus left in the fourth quarter, you're doing something good there. What I really don't understand, and listen, I'm a big fan of AC Anthony Cavill. I don't like their offense. I don't like the way they run their offense. They don't run the ball with any kind of regularity.
And we had 43 yards last week.
And what do? They throw to one guy all the time. Listen, Eugene Lewis could be the best receiver in the league. Could be. Yep. He leads the league with touchdowns. He makes some remarkable. The man is a gifted receiver.
Agreed.
But having said that, you're forgetting about Reggie White Jr. You're forgetting about Julian Grant. You're forgetting about Jake Winicky, Hergy Mayala. They've got other guys, but and I think I read somewhere that Machocho said it's time for us to spread the ball around. If teams know we're only going to Eugene Lewis, I put a guy high, put a guy low on him, and take him right out of the game. Yeah. So somebody else has to step up. This might be the game that Winicky comes to life and gets something. And that's why I think, Montreal defensively, to me, I don't think they're that bad right now. I just think offensively, they make some weird decisions, much like I mentioned earlier in the podcast here, of going for 3rd and 2 when you're down, kick the field goal, get the points. You got points, there you got them. Instead, they try a 3rd and 2 and they turn the ball over. Ridiculous move.
Here's their offensive numbers from last week. Look at this. 15 targets for Eugene Lewis. Perfect. And then number 2 is Hergy Mayala, the Canadian, with 6. That's less than half. And then you look at actual catches, 9 for 123 yards for Eugene Lewis. And nobody else had more than 3. Frankly, most guys had 2 or less, except for Jake Weineke, who pulled in 3 balls, but he only put 17 yards. Running the ball, 10 rushes to Jeshrin Antwi, and then 5 for Feaster, who is relatively new coming off the practice roster. Trevor Harris, 16 of 26 is okay. 127 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. They're not doing anything enough offensively to make you think it's going to be a football game. Winnipeg is that bend, don't break. They're not allowing touchdowns. Of course, they allowed a passing, 2 passing touchdowns against Montreal last week. You come to IG Field, it's going to be a different story with that crowd noise.
Well, absolutely, and they got a good crowd coming tomorrow too, so that's going to be a good thing. Listen,
30,000
numbers. When you put those numbers up there, DB, what really surprised me was not so much the targets, but the yardage. 123 for Lewis, and everybody else was 17, 15. I mean, look at those numbers: 33, 17, 15. Man, you're not going to win many football games with that kind of secondary yardage from your other receivers. It just echoes our point, buddy. You've got to spread that ball around, and you've got to get the other playmakers involved. The Bombers do a great job, whether it's Janarian Grant on the fly sweep, the potential rookie of the year right now, leading in my books, Dalton Schoen, 7 touchdowns already. Guy's a machine. Now you bring back a guy who was actually leading the league in receiving before he went out, and Greg Ellingson. Man, pick your poison. You don't think
let's not bury the lead here, right?
Happy? He's licking his chops, buddy.
No, let's not bury the lead here. Greg Ellingson returning after missing the last 3 games. He played that home game against Calgary on July 15th, Winnipeg's 26-19 win. He was named a CFL top performer in that game. We actually got a chance to speak to him on day 1 of practice following that. And then poof, he was gone. We thought it was a veteran day and just resting some things because he was made available to media. But however, he missed the next 3. Him coming back is a good thing. But what I want to ask you about is what I got on the screen right now, Chris. Encouraged by Brady Oliveira putting up 100 combined yards in each of Winnipeg's last 2 games. What's changed? I'm asking everybody out there in the comments. Get into the comments right now and tell us what you think has changed in the Blue Bombers run game. It's suddenly it looks like a different team when they're handing the ball off.
Well, we talked about, continuity, chemistry with the O-line, understanding how they're blocking when you can't hesitate. You can't dance when you hit the hole. I know that Brady talked to his running back coach at Oak Park High, where he went to high school and was a star. And then he talked to the receiver coach of the Bombers, and they had a great heart-to-heart. And they just, he was really encouraged by that. I mean, in the last 2 games, he's averaging 6.3 yards a carry. And then it's funny how people turn, right? Because I read a comment somewhere and it said, Andrew Harris, who? Because now he's got a better rushing average. I mean, it's just, man, people are breaking ankles, jumping off and on the bandwagon. It's just crazy, man. But I think
welcome to pro sports, right?
Yeah, no kidding, man. I tell you, they love you 1 minute, and next you're dumping some manure in your yard the next, a.k.a.
Paul McCallum.
But hey, listen, I like the way Brady's running the ball right now. He's hitting north-south. He's actually running over people. He's lowering his shoulder. He's delivering the blow. He's being the hammer, not the nail, as Dunnigan likes to call it. I like the way they're running. And the O-line, this O-line is only getting better. Chris Konikowski, I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of this kid. Comes in, places, replaces Michael Couture. They haven't really missed a beat. I think this kid's really playing well.
He's been very, very good. Still no indication of when all-star center Michael Couture could return to the Blue Bombers lineup. He's working with the team a little bit, but not in gear, has that cast on his broken arm. But Chris, I did see new Montreal Alouettes defensive tackle Almondo Sewell, long time with Edmonton, now with Montreal, widely regarded for years as the strongest man in the CFL. He did bull rush Blue Bombers center Chris Kolenkowski a couple times effectively, but that didn't stop Winnipeg's offense from being effective. He didn't get to the quarterback. So something to focus on tonight when you watch the snap, watch Almondo Sewell, the man they call Mondo, push his way around on that on that defensive line, it's going to be an area I think of improvement.
That is why, DB, that I'm happy with Chris Kolonkowski. Listen, a kid just comes in. I think he's getting his fourth start. I mean, there's going to be some growing pains. He's just thrown in the middle of a line of a very veteran crew there. Obviously, with Jeff Gray taking over for Desjardins, who's in New England right now. But, I mean, this is a veteran group led by Bryant and Hardrick and Neufeld. So, and he's fitting in, and he's getting stronger. Yeah, listen, everybody in their life has been bull rushed at one time. I've been bull rushed during my career. Everybody gets bull rushed. It's all about position, staying low, making sure your hand's in the right place. If you're out too wide, guy gets underneath you. It's like the kid that used to play for us last year, Stove. What was his name?
Steven Richardson.
Steve, who I don't know how he's doing. He's going to make a big difference if he gets back to BC's lineup this year. They considered him one of the strongest to go up there. He was getting underneath all those offensive linemen. So, yeah, I think they'll be okay. I love the fact they're running the football now. They've had the last 2 weeks against Calgary and Montreal. They've done a great job of having a balanced attack. Not living off the pass or not living off the run, but mixing it up in such a way that you're keeping the defense off balance. And if they continue to do that, and now with the weapon of Ellingson back, I mean, it just bodes well. I mean, it just tells me how many riches the Bombers have. And again, kudos to the scouting department for bringing these guys in, finding guys, drafting great guys by Kyle Walters, the scouts, Danny McManus and company. And then, of course, you got Wade Miller and Coach O'Shea, who just create this culture, and players actually get on the phone and they say, hey, you want to come to a good organization? Come to Winnipeg. And that was not always the case. Maybe the Jets could hire some of those guys, because I know the Jets have some kind of a bad thing going on, where people are like, I don't want to play in Winnipeg, maybe because of the weather. I don't know. But anyway.
Hey, this is a Blue Bombers show, Chris. Don't make people uncomfortable because you talk about the hockey team and players not wanting to play there. People want to play in Winnipeg when it comes to football. We heard Dietrich Nichols say that just a minute ago. Oh, yeah, of course I did.
Oh, that's right, because you work for hockey too. I'm sorry, TP. I just cut your paycheck in half.
No, you didn't.
Woo!
No.
The thoughts and comments made in this podcast are mine alone and do not reflect the thoughts of Darrin bombing. There you go.
Well, okay. Speaking of which, a question here I want to get to. Andrea asking, is Ellingson and Augustine in the lineup tonight? Will they play? Yes, they are in the lineup for Thursday night. Greg Ellingson missed the last 3 games, as we mentioned. He is back. And the starting receiving lineup looks just like it did week 1 with Rasheed Bailey, Dalton Schoen, Nick Dembski, Drew Wolodarski, and Greg Ellingson. As far as Johnny Augustine, he has been on the injury report the last few weeks, but he has dressed in every game, so no issues there. Everybody on the Blue Bombers injury report is in and expected to play on Thursday night. All the guys on the 6th game do not go on the injury report. No indication when those guys might come back. Chris, speaking of Brady Oliveira, very proud young man, very mature young man, and a talented football player as well. A Winnipegger and homegrown product here, played in the NCAA at the University of North Dakota. He's now seeing the light as the Blue Bombers' #1 guy and putting up production. I asked him about that. Confidence from the last 2 games, his teammates, and the offensive, the big boys up front, of course. And then for my dollar, one of the biggest plays of the game last week, that was his 35-yard catch across the middle. Brady Oliveira talks about that as well. Let's hear from him now.
The O-line is doing a great job. They're finally starting to get into a groove, and they put in so much work, each and every day, each and every week, and it's just great seeing things develop and seeing their hard work pay off, and obviously I'm sticking to it, and we got guys in the building, and everyone believes in me here. The coaches believe in me, all my teammates believe in me, so the O-line first and foremost are allowing me to get open and to get past the second level and to start making some plays. So all thanks to the big boys up front.
I'm sure they've always instilled confidence in you, but is it a different level of confidence when you're able to, put up 100 combined in 2 straight games?
Yeah, I can definitely start to feel that while I'm in the huddle, and just definitely, the chemistry that I'm building with those guys up front, it definitely, feels a lot different, and I've noticed that, probably going into that Calgary game, and especially last game, just in the huddle, just that strong belief that, they're going to ride with me and I'm going to ride with them. So it's definitely a good feeling. We just want to keep stacking good days and good weeks and keep getting positive results.
How good did it feel to pull in that catch?
I've been waiting for that. And guys know on this team that I've been waiting for that. Obviously, I like to consider myself as, kind of a do-it-all back. I can run the ball, I can block, but I can also, catch the ball. And I haven't had many opportunities to showcase my abilities out the backfield. Yeah, little check routes, little screens here and there, but me getting into the route concepts and getting downfield and Zach trusting me and throwing me the ball and allowing me to go and make a play. But I've always had, strong confidence in my hands, and it's great that I finally got one. All the receivers were very excited for me, and it was great to finally, get a deep shot downfield and to ultimately make a play on the ball.
Brady Oliveira clearly elated on talking about that catch he made across the middle. Chris, not too often you see a power tailback like Brady Oliveira be sent on a route like that. We got spoiled a little bit with Andrew Harris, right? Like, he was truly an enigma in being able to be a downfield receiver at times, but then also be the power back that he was. But what a huge play that was, not just for the contested catch, but the way it flipped the field early in that game and gave the Blue Bombers a pretty strong field position advantage.
You got to love the way the kid plays. First off, I don't want to get into what he does off the field because I'm a huge fan of what he does in dog rescues and stuff like that. Yeah. But just the way he comes in, and you could just see, and I think you hit it right on the head there, DB. It's almost like he took the weights off his shoulder and said, you know what? I'm happy. I'm having it. Things good. The low line, and they're working good. We're all working together now. And I don't think there's been we have not had a 100-yard rusher this year, have we? I do not believe we've had a 100-yard rusher. No. And I know that in the past, when you're running back at 100, they take the O-line out for dinner. So maybe this week, Brady might have to dig deep on the old paycheck and take those big boys can eat, man. I'm telling you right now. But I know he'd be happy as heck to get 100 yards. So, really happy for the young guy. And that's not to take anything away from Johnny Augustine. I still think you sprinkle it in, but we did notice the last two games, it's more and more number 20 and less of 27, Augustine. So, obviously they've seen some things, and they've seen that he's starting to get that confidence, and he's getting hit in the hole, like I said before, not dancing, just running. And, man, I like it. So better things are going to come from that kid.
Yeah, no question. Somebody in the live chat saying, didn't Brady Oliveira run for 100 2 weeks ago? No, 2 weeks ago, he had a season high 62 yards. And then the week after that in Calgary, there it is. You're right.
He did have
110 yards on 15 carries in Calgary 2 weeks ago. Thank you for that.
Brandon B. We'll have to get him on the show. That kid's, I tell you what, way to smarten us up, eh? I was trying to think, and I didn't have all my stats from those past games, but that's
the excuse, Chris. That's the excuse.
I have to have an excuse, brother. I'm old. I'm just trying to figure out if he took it. You know what? You should have asked him. You should ask next time you talk to Brady. Say, hey, are you guys still doing that? I think the fans would like to know. I'd like to know. Are they still treating
taking them out?
Yeah, you should put that in one of your list of questions for him.
Well, I know in the past, I think it was Matt Nichols bought all the offensive linemen Oakley sunglasses at one point for going no sacks in a game when maybe things were a little bit different as far as their protection schemes and the rest. But Chris, one of the things that goes with the offense, of course, you mentioned Dalton Schoen, the return of Greg Ellingson, but this is what I really want to know. Every single week, it seems to be a new receiver. It's been Nick Dembski in weeks past. It's been Greg Ellingson. It's been Dalton Schoen. Last week, who was the Blue Bombers' leading receiver? Oh, it was Drew Wolodarski, who had 90 yards on 5 catches. Who will be the breakout man this week? It could be anybody. And that's such a dangerous thing, isn't it?
Well, it's huge because when you have that many weapons, and as you say, every week it's a new leading receiver, and you got a guy like I call Mr. Reliable. The two guys that I think we have the top 2 slot backs in the CFL as a combination. Ellingson and Schoen. I mean, these guys are really getting it done. Obviously you look at Dalton Schoen, the way he goes to the ball, the way he cradles the ball in the end zone, the way he finds opening, and he's mature way upon his years as far as the CFL and how to read zones, and he's smart. He's a modest guy. And we've said this a number of times, a number of podcasts already. Zach has a great relationship with this guy. He knows where he is. He leads the league in 20 second down conversions, number 1 in the league. He is the go-to guy when they need to move the chains.
Mm-hmm.
And if he just keeps us up, I mean, I said this, and I'm going to beat it to death. You better watch number 83 because he ain't going to be here next year.
Oof. Wow. Yeah, that NFL window does open for all players, whether they're under contract for 2023 or not. It will be interesting. I also wonder about Nathan Rourke, Chris.
Oh, my.
They want to see, Justin Dunk mentioned this week. NFL talent evaluators want to see quarterbacks and what they can do in adverse situations when they're down, when, the adversity is piling up on you. Nathan Rourke has shown that ability. Not every game they've played this year has been a blowout where he's thrown for, 900 yards and 15 touchdowns. I joke, of course, but what a huge game that was for Nathan Rourke this past week. Could be Dalton Schoen, could be Titus Wall of the Calgary Stampeders, another outstanding rookie in the CFL so far this year. It makes you wonder who will be around. But that all said, I don't know. You never know with undersized receiver. It might not be so cut and dry.
No, and I agree. And we're not trying. I'm not trying to show him the door or say. I just say the potential is there. That's what I'm saying. I mean, when you're like, and to your point, DB, the NFL, they got scouts at every game. They watch film. They break it down. They see who's coming up. They got a little chalkboard of guys playing in the CFL, guys they want to put on their list, guys they want to talk to after the year. And
USFL, XFL.
Think about it. And now we're not even talking about those other leagues. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they could be picking a lot of players. I mean, the XFL is paying $50,000 a season, 10-game season, $5,000 plus a bonus if you win. So for a lot of guys, 10 games is not a huge year. I mean, you come to CFL, you're playing 18, but if you played 20 down there, it's $100,000. So, and it's American. So I mean, it's not a bad deal.
Like, how would they play 20?
Well, if they did, I'm just kind of extrapolate or
see.
Just expand on it. You know what I'm talking about? Because we got 18 games, so I'm trying to just say.
But their schedule is short because they're trying to get into that spring session, right? Where it's that dry period of American football in the spring. You come to the summer or like late spring, there's the spring games in the NCAA. Then there's NFL training camps, preseason games happening right now in August. The CFL has been, the way it's been for generations, decades of playing when they play. A lot of people have said, they should start earlier so they can wrap their season up on Labor Day and this and that and the other. I don't know. I think you just got to stick with the way it is here in Canada.
It's interesting. Lynn Reimer has a great comment, and I think that's such a cool thing when she's bringing up the fact that with the depth of American players, would the NFL be interested in a Canadian quarterback? I said, look along for Flutie and Moon. Moon was a different scenario. They didn't believe, an African American could play football as a quarterback. He had to fight that stigma. And then obviously Flutie had to fight the stigma. They figured he was too short. But you look at Nathan, and Nathan is 6'2", 6'3". He's got a really beautiful arm. He throws the ball extremely well.
Accurate.
It's a different game now. I mean, if you look at the NFL, to anybody who watches the game, they'll bring in anybody. They just go fishing. It doesn't hurt me to bring you, DB, and your whole family in if you're all athletes. It doesn't hurt me. I got to pay your plane fare. I put you up at a hotel. I run through some tests. I see if I like you or not. And if I don't like you, I ship you home. I mean, the pocket size, it's huge. But as you said, with the XFL, with the USFL, with all these other leagues, but everybody wants to number one. And listen, no dog in the CFL. I love this game. I played it my whole life. But having said that, the NFL, for a lot of guys, when you have families or anything, you want to make the dinero. You want to make that dollar, right? And because, I mean, you don't have to play 15 years to make a living. You can play 2-3 years and set yourself up and your family up pretty good for the future.
Yeah, no, that's true. Lynn mentioning that Chris is also an American, being Streveler, easy to sign a citizen. Well, it's easy for them to sign anybody. They'll sign.
Doesn't matter.
They'll sign players from Lagos, Nigeria, or from Potsdam or wherever, right? But I'm kind of with Corey. At least for the short term, I hope Rourke stays in BC. At the same time, Chris, to see a Canadian-bred quarterback from Brampton, Ontario, go from Canada to the NCAA at the University of Ohio and the Bobcats. To the CFL, back up in year one, starting in year two, throwing the lights out, winning, and then get a shot in the NFL. All the power to him. I do hope that happens. selfishly, I love watching him play here in the CFL.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody does. I mean, obviously he's a big thing, and BC can really, they got a new owner, and listen, it's not too far to believe that if the owner knows that this is a winning guy, sometimes they will back up that Brinks truck and keep him. I mean, look at Dunny. Dunnigan played with us. He was like the first $1 million quarterback that the Bombers signed, right? I mean, we all took pay cuts at that time.
Yeah.
So that we could sign Dunny. And Dunny took us to the Grey Cup 2 years in a row. And I say this with all honesty, had he not, blown his Achilles in 92 or 93, excuse me, 93, 92, he got beat by Flutie. He's a heck of a quarterback. But in 93, we dominated Edmonton. That was the year that 93 that Dunnigan threw for 713 yards, still a record. And we beat him by 50 points. And then, of course, we go to and Dunnigan rips his Achilles, and we end up losing that game, a game we should have won. But, hey, ifs and buts, it tells you again, key injuries at key times can send any team from the penthouse to the outhouse, man.
Well, on that note, Chris, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 9-0 on the season. They play Thursday night. Then they have their first of 3 bye weeks in the second half of the season.
Crazy.
3 road games, 6 home games. The schedule looks so much better on the way through here, the rest of the way. However, you're right. Anything can happen in a season. Everybody's talking about an undefeated season here in Winnipeg.
Don't start doing that, man.
Well, look, when the Bombers were like 4-0, 5-0, we started like amongst the media watching practice. We're like, when do you start having that conversation? When do you start talking about an undefeated season? I believed you get to 10-0, then maybe you start having that conversation. And I looked at the Bombers schedule, say, okay, they got 10 straight games to start the season, then a bye week. That's when you start talking about it. Yeah. Well, others felt differently. They've been talking about it since 8-0, now 9-0. Chris, your thoughts on an undefeated season in professional football today where anything can happen?
Unheard of. I think the only team I've ever heard about it was the Miami Dolphins.
1972.
That's the only team I've ever seen. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to even think because, again, you can't control what comes down the road. And I always said this: a team gets hot at the right time. Key injuries hit your team, and you got to sit somebody out. Or maybe you wrap up your schedule, and the Bombers go 13-0, and they decide, you know what, guys, we wrapped up first place. I'm going to start resting guys.
Right.
And so you sit guys, right? And that there's so many scenarios to put in that formula that could lead to a loss. But again, it's all about building momentum. And I don't know, O'Shea and the whole team there, they want to build. You always want to be getting better than a game you previously played, and you want to build toward the playoffs. Remember, the goal is always this: make the playoffs, get a home game in the playoffs, and make it to the cup. Those are 3 steps. They've done that. And they did it the hard way, I think, in 2019, right? They had to win in Calgary, and I think they had to win in Saskatchewan. So, I mean, that was the beginning of their – I'm going to call it legacy because 2 years in a row, and they're potentially 3 now. It's crazy. But and that'll be another thing because I think only Edmonton has won more than 3 in a row or 3 in a row. I think they were 5 in a row when we played them. Anyway.
I digress. Chris, who wouldn't trade a 3-game losing streak during the regular season for a championship at the end?
Anybody.
Who wouldn't? Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't think like that. Nobody thinks like that.
Well, this team doesn't, right?
No. I mean,
it's 1-0, 1-0.
1-0. They've got the right mentality. They've got what they do is they have such a great nucleus of veterans. Guys that have been here, guys who have drank the Kool-Aid, guys who will teach the young kids what they really have to do on the field if they want to be part. As you mentioned, FIFO, fit in or whatever off. So, I mean, I'm really watching my P's and Q's today.
You really are. You're on it.
Yeah, I'm on fire.
For that, Chris, because you're on your P's and Q's today, here's a gift for you. I'm going to deliver this to you. How about this? A beautiful beer glass.
Oh, I like that. You know what? You're enticing the big man. Big man is very excited about that. You know what is funny? I think beer glasses are like special to me. It's like Christmas all over again.
It's gorgeous. Look at that design. That's designed and made in Winnipeg by our good friends at The Sports Vault. You can check them out at thesportsvault.com. I'm going to pull them. I'm going to pull up their catalog here. Check this out. They've got everything. You name it. Mugs, glassware, tumblers, we just gave away a pair of these. I know these are Maple Leaf ones. Here's some old Canuck ones, but we had Blue Bomber ones just like this that we gave away on Bonfire midweek last night. Coffee mugs, shot glasses, and then it goes beyond the drinkware. Like, look, this is all on thesportsvault.com, a Winnipeg company and all produced here.
Wow.
Hockey pucks and towels, barbecue gear, utility gear, work gloves, you name it. How about this? Luggage straps with your favorite team. It doesn't matter what it is. NFL, NBA, NHL, Canadian Football League, keychains, novelties, big foam fingers, Christmas decorations, holiday decorations, all types of stuff. And then it even gets into this really cool stuff. You can get like the Grey Cup or the Stanley Cup with, your team's logo on it. I love these, the gold record for your championship season. How about a Blue Bombers gold record for their back-to-back, maybe even three-peat Grey Cup championships?
Cool.
I know this is kind of gross, a rider's guitar, but you could get a Blue Bombers guitar or a Blue Bombers ukulele, bring that to the Banjo Bowl. How about that?
Saskatchewan there should be a Saskatchewan banjo. That's what it should be right there.
Yeah. So check them out, thesportsvault.com. Great people over there. And we've got lots of giveaways coming your way here on Bonfire Sports. Chris, I'm going to get this to you ASAP. You and I have a bunch of stuff to do. When are you inviting me over for,
Well, you know what? We got to
fill a couple of these. We got to fill them up.
Oh God, yes. We will fill those up, brother. Now that we have a bye, because when they have a bye, we have a bye.
Yes.
So it's kind of nice. I mean,
well, you have a bye. You have a bye. I'm still doing Bonfire midweek next week.
Yeah. And actually, as a matter of fact, I wanted to say hi to you from Zach, your buddy Zach.
Yeah.
He was coming. I was walking into the orthopedic surgeon's office in Oak Bluff. He was coming out of a store across the street, yelling at me. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm buying something for, I think it was his daughter." But anyway, it's pretty interesting. So he said hi. He was yelling at me. I said, "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" So he said, "Yeah." He said, "Say hi to DB." I said, "Yeah, I will."
It's the Bonfire family. It's growing. It's
growing.
Man,
brother. You never know where you're going to run into somebody.
No, that is so true. And that's kind of the cool part of the CFL. Like, you could run into these players or coaches. Mike O'Shea, you find him at Safeway. Zach Collaros, you'll find him at Polo Park.
Bagging groceries?
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't be bagging groceries. He grew up with a Dairy Queen. His family had a Dairy Queen when he was a kid.
Right, and his dad was in the military. Yep. But I want to say this. Hey, how about a big shout out to Michael O'Shea, if you would, getting a field in his hometown named after him.
Yeah, on Monday.
What an incredible honor for the young man. I mean, that's humbling when you get something named after you, a park, especially like I guess it must be a football field or something, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Good for him. And I know he's going back to sign autographs. And to me, he's a guy that hates that. When you look at him, he's really humble. He's not a guy that craves attention or needs it. Yeah. So this is really nice for the guy. So congratulations to Coach O'Shea. Wonderful achievement, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. Also, another thing that's potentially on tap when you look at accomplishments, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Thursday night at IG Field can become the first team in CFL history to win 400 games at home. They sit at 399, likelihood. They're 11.5 point favorites over the Montreal Alouettes right now. What a cool thing that would be. And a bigger, what's that?
Did you say 19?
No, 11.
Okay, I saw 12.5. Okay, I
think that's where it started. Yeah, and it's come down a little bit. I'm going to pull that up right now.
That's crazy.
Speaking of which, if you guys want to get in on a great deal, SIA.com/bonfire. Sign up there, get a bonus. That helps us directly here. Chris, myself, Zach on Bonfire Sports. As of right now, still 11.5, Chris. Okay. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are favored. The Ticats line has moved a little bit. They're now 2.5 point favorites at home in the back-to-back against the Argos. Stamps still 2 point dogs at home to the BC Lions on Saturday. And then the Riders are now 6 point favorites. That line has moved a tiny bit. I think it started at 5.5. 6 point favorites in Edmonton. I think there's some value there.
Well, you know what?
I know Edmonton got beat up last week and they looked really bad in Vancouver, but they're back home. Saskatchewan's beat up too. Like they're a bit of a tire.
Not only beat up, Saskatchewan's not beat up. I find that the amount of pressure they're putting on Cody Fajardo and the amount of negativity directed at the young man. he went from being, basically priesthood out there. They loved him.
Jesus sprinkles.
Yeah, sprinkles. And then all of a sudden now they're like, he's not. And people are commenting in the media, like I think it was Lewis, the guy who used to play for Nick Lewis. Yep. He's not the deal. He's not. He's and I'm like, what the hell? Like we don't have this. Chris, normally, it's really.
You take away one of his greatest weapons, and that's his legs. He is very beat up. He's got a knee injury that he's playing through. He's admitted it. The team's admitted it. A bye week this past week maybe will help that a little bit, but you don't recover from a knee injury in 10 days.
So line's not very good.
Well,
so they're getting sacked. It's almost reminiscent of BC last year with Mike Riley. That's for Jarlo right now. When you spend half the game counting clouds because you're just staring on your back at the sky, it's not a good thing.
It's one thing, though, to have an offensive line that has you running around and maybe you have a knee injury. Yes. It's another thing if you're a quarterback like Cody Fajardo and half of your game is running the football. When he was the West Division MOP nominee in 2019, following the suspension to Andrew Harris for PEDs, what did Cody Fajardo do? He threw for a whack load of yards and he rushed for something like 800 yards or 650 yards that season. So you take that away, suddenly defenses are playing against him and this Riders offense differently. Jason Moss built this offense around the dual threat that is Cody Fajardo. It's now tough for Saskatchewan. Here's my question to you, Chris, kind of a two-parter. I want to get into this as far as the East and the West Division. Saskatchewan, could they be a crossover team if Montreal and, namely Montreal and Ottawa continue to struggle? Say Hamilton and Toronto are at the top of that division. Saskatchewan could end up coming through the East this year. Can you imagine a Bombers Riders Grey Cup in Regina in November? It's possible.
It's crazy when I think about it, and I also think about when everybody talked the preseason, it was about Hamilton being the beast of the East. It's going to be.
I still believe they will. I still believe they'll turn around now. But now Dane Evans is hurt.
Dane Evans is struggling,
and he's hurt now.
Yeah, I heard they're going with the backup, but I mean, he's leading the league in interceptions. He fumbles the ball all the time now. I don't understand. That was the throw that he tried to force that ended up losing the game to Toronto. It wasn't a very good throw. It wasn't a bad decision. He had a guy wide open. He just didn't see him. But having said that, I mean, I'm not a quarterback. I think to answer your question, absolutely, because Saskatchewan go over there. I mean, it was nice to see that Paula Police finally get a win. That was a nice thing for Ottawa. But, they got a long way to go to get out of that outhouse because but as you said, and you've hit it on the head, man, the East is still wide open. I mean, when you only have 3 wins at the top, it's crazy. Bombers have 9. And they got 3.
Yeah.
So, to your point, absolutely.
4 points between first place and the 2 teams right below them right now in Hamilton and Montreal. Ottawa, it's going to be a tough climb for them. They got their first win of the season. Then they get, beat up pretty good in an ugly game against the Calgary Stampeders last week. We'll see how week 10 shakes out in the East. But when it comes to the West, Chris, here is the ultimate question. Can the one-loss BC Lions catch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? We got to remember, the final 2 Blue Bombers games of the season is a home and home against the Lions with a bye week in the middle.
What a great – now, see, I've been complaining about the schedule just because of the fact I think Winnipeg obviously going for 6 games in 32 days, and they come out and they're basically perfect right now. But now, as you say, they got the rest, they got the bye. It depends where BC is at that time. If BC is very close and moving up, and I say back to back, do the Bombers have like right now? What is Bombers? BC 6-1 right now. We're 6 points ahead. Boy, I think Bombers would really have to fall off the track to let BC get in there. Could it happen? Absolutely, anything can happen.
BC has a monster game this week against the Calgary Stampeders.
That to me is listen. We're Bomber fans. I'm a Bomber. I bleed blue and gold all day. But I got to tell you, there's a game I want to watch, and that's the BC Calgary game. I want to see if Nathan against because he's had all his yards. All 3 games have been against Edmonton. That's when he has
big games.
All his big games. So I want to see what he does. Listen, I'm not taking it away from a young man, but I want to see what he plays like and how he plays against a pretty good Calgary. Even though they've lost Trey Robertson for the season, that's a big loss for the cornerback.
And they cut Raheem Wilson with no explanation.
Yeah, there's something going on.
A starter.
there's something going on. It could be a locker room thing, could be off-field thing. I mean,
I just got you know what, Chris? I just got a text from somebody in Calgary, and you know, to paraphrase, they're doing all types of weird blank. Is the way they described what's going on in Calgary. So, but it's going to be a great game. Here it is, Saturday, August 13th, 6 o'clock Central Time, Lions at Stamps. Here's their schedule the rest of the way. A home and home against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We'll see how that shakes out. They go to Montreal, back in Calgary again. That could be a tough game, depending on how and that's a home and home with Calgary, September 17th and 24th. They're then home to the Ottawa Red Blacks in Toronto, home to the Bombers on October 15th, trip to Edmonton, and then trip to Winnipeg to wrap up week 21 and the regular season. These two games, Chris, right here, like let's say Winnipeg loses one game this season, just prognosticating, they lose one game and BC's still at a loss or two, maybe even three. If BC can win both of those games, they can win the division. It's going to, this very well could determine who hosts the West Final and who has to go on the road, to get the work done.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's what I love about it right now. And you're way ahead of me on that because I did not look at the schedule that far back to see who was the Bombers were finishing the season with. But that's going to be a great matchup. And as you say, the way BC's playing, that's why I'm so curious to watch them against Calgary, a better team than I believe Edmonton is right now, and see what Calgary does. But again, as you mentioned, they're doing all kind of crazy bleep, whatever out there in Calgary. So,
the other thing too is, Chris, you got 6 home games, 3 road games, and 3 byes, which is very advantageous now that the Blue Bombers have been able to get through the first half of the season, and impressively with no losses yet. But 3 games against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 2 here in Winnipeg, the Banjo Bowl, of course, and then September 30th. They're back here at IG Field. Speak to rivalry games. We know from historical precedent, you never know who's going to win in games between these two rivals. 3 games they play, those are going to be 3 tough games for Winnipeg to win all of them.
Yeah. Saskatchewan is always a great rivalry. I love the Prairie rivalry. I love the fact that every time we play them, the games are pretty close. I remember playing, the years we used to go to Saskatchewan. It was very rare that we could come out of Saskatchewan with a win. It was just a tough place to win. And I think it's going to be tough for the Bombers. But, let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. I think that right now they've got to get ahead. And I know their focus is on Montreal, but I guarantee you guys, it used to drive me crazy sometimes, guys. We'd have a bye week, and guys would bring their luggage into the locker room.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that.
It drove me nuts. Because they're already thinking about it. Got to catch that flight, man. I'm out of here, baby. As soon as ding, 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 60 minutes, I'm out of here. So you got to make sure their head's still focused on that game. And I know that O'Shea and coaches are doing a good job of that. But there's no way in heck that some of them aren't thinking, man, I get to see my family. I get a week off. I get to, spend some time with, away from football, which is going to be a good thing. This is the only team that hasn't had a break yet. So it'd be ridiculous to think they haven't thought about it.
No, of course they have, right? It will be interesting to see how Winnipeg plays through 3 byes, 3 road games, and 6 home games in the second half of the season. How about we hear from the Blue Bombers quarterback, Zach Collaros?
No, let's do it.
Every quarterback goes through it, but speak to the mentality of, maybe you throw an interception, but you go back to not being afraid to throw into tight windows and run the offense unfettered by that.
Yeah, it comes down to trusting the game plan, trusting the receivers, trusting the guys up front. Knowing who the point is and blocking it well. And again, I think as the game went on, again up front, and our receivers did a good job of understanding what the challenge was, and they made some great plays on the football, and up front they did a great job keeping it clean.
How much has it helped getting the run game as productive as it has been the last 2 weeks?
Any way you can gain yards, so hand the ball off, throw the football, whatever you need to do. I think I've said before, for the guys up front, it's much more fun to run block than to pass block. So if you can get that going, I'd imagine it makes their job easier.
Yeah, no doubt, Chris. You would know firsthand. You get the run game going, it makes everything a lot easier. But I want to go back to Zach Collaros' first comment. My question to him about, maybe you throw a pick, maybe you throw 2. He threw 3 in Montreal last week. you got to be completely unfettered by that and continue to throw the football. I saw Zach Collaros come back from throwing maybe a bad interception, and he just continues to zip it into super, super tight windows. Like, he doesn't even think about that last throw. He does not change the way he plays. It's impressive.
Well, his mentality, if you watch him, what I love, he's a gamer. And I really call him a gamer because he's fired up. You don't really see, it doesn't seem like a guy that's in a huddle screaming and yelling, but you can see he's got intensity. And I think he's very confident, and he knows what he has in front of him. But his decision-making, his ability to escape the pocket, and I think you brought it up once, he does a great job. Most of the time he rolls to the right. And it seems like, and I can even go back to 19 and we played Calgary, and he's rolling around. He does the big circle, and he hits Darvin Adams for a crucial touchdown in the playoff game. So, I mean, he just makes things happen. This is a guy 34, going to be 35 this year, and he's playing like a 20-year-old. I mean, he's in great shape. The Bombers have done a great job. Now, he did get hit a few times last week. And as you say, that's something they're going to have to tighten up on. And that's why I said Montreal's defense, seriously, for 3.5 quarters, I don't think they played pretty bad. I thought they played bad. I just think the Montreal's offense is a big question mark to me. That's my thing right there.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a strange thing to be concerned about. When it comes to the Montreal Alouettes injury situation, Avery Ellis, their starting defensive end, is back this week. Chandler Worthy once again out. That gives the Blue Bombers a huge advantage on special teams. Janarian Grant, we haven't even mentioned, Chris. Unbelievable game he played, probably his best, I would say, as a Blue Bomber, because he contributed in the run game, contributed in the pass game. He had that one hitch route that he knifed upfield. Like, I like to say he knifed it, because he just split defenders and ran for 20 yards upfield, had a punt return touchdown. And on a couple of those interceptions Zach Collaros threw, Janarian Grant, who's like, 165 pounds, made 2 tackles, including on some big boys. He was really coming to play last week. Yeah,
he's I love the way that they asked O'Shea to describe him in a word. He just said electric. He is that kind of guy. He's a game breaker. You saw him. He saw a hole up on that punt return, 57 yards untouched. Just broke through, and that was it. Great job of blocking by his line or his return team. But when you got a guy with that kind of speed, a.k.a. the greatest I've ever seen, still in my word, is the Gizmo Williams. He was unbelievable. I mean, I had him down. We missed a field goal, and I had him in my sights. And I'm just trucking down that sideline, and I got, boy, this is going to be ugly. And all of a sudden, I end up turning and saw his cleats go by me, and he was gone. I missed that bus by about 3 transfer spots. So, I mean, it was ugly. In the film, I was like, okay, get out of the film now. Roll out of the camera, because they show you. It's just like I did a U-turn. I went, whoa. I mean, he was a special player. He was a special player. Just a great guy.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, as we kind of look towards the end of our hour here, I know you're waiting to get some coldies in you. Maybe I'll borrow this today.
Yes, try.
And, I'll clean it. I'll clean it first for you.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
But your keys,
need your DNA in my body, okay?
Your what? Huh? Pardon?
DNA,
Never mind.
All right, get going.
Your keys to the game and the path to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers moving to 10-0 this season.
Well, to me, I think it's on special teams. Hey, listen, we didn't even talk about it, but I'll say this: continue the pace. Mark Legiel, 18 to 20 field goals, but his punting has been spectacular. His placement of the punts has been spectacular. Mark Legs, or whatever you want to call him, Legio has done a great job. But I think that the Bombers on the cover team have really got to watch this kid. That Tyson Philpott, he's electric. I mean, I know they'll have Chandler Worley, but that Tyson Philpott's pretty electric guy returning. On offense, they just got to, stay the route, man. You see, they just do it right. Try to protect the ball a little better than they did last week. Make better decisions. Defense, keep going after the ball. And I think you got to stuff that run. Force the bad back Trevor Harris to live off the pass. And let's get a little bit more Brady Oliveira oil on that salad.
Ooh, how about that? Mixed in with a little balsamic.
You can tell when I'm getting thirsty. I start going all wacky.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're a guy that has salad for breakfast, right? You're the weird breakfast soup for breakfast.
Every meal I eat salad, baby. Get your greens in you.
Well, that's why you look so good for 45 years old.
Yeah, for 45.
Hey, want to thank everybody for joining us here live on Game Day Winnipeg. Be sure to come back to the channel for Game Day After Dark. We'll break it all down here live following Thursday night's game. And then Tuesday, during the bye week, Bonfire midweek is a go. Zach Schnitzer and myself will get it going. Chris, enjoy your bye week. Enjoy the game. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, brother.
Well, you know, I'm sure you're going to be pulling for the good guys. And what's going to be a raucous crowd on Thursday night at IG Field.
Yeah, and I'll give you a call next week because obviously with my bye week, I'll be looking around and maybe I'll get to enjoy that gift you bought me there. And
I got a couple things for you, buddy. I got a couple.
All right, that'd be perfect. Anyway, you enjoy it too. You have a great time. Go Blue. Love you guys. I know it's going to be 10-0. Don't go crazy. Well, that's an accent. I love that shit, man. Okay. Adios, amigos. Here I go again. I got to leave.